Welcome to the Back in Time podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Autry. Normally, this is the part where I say, and joined by my co host, JD, but JD's not here. Stepping in for him is my buddy, Zeno Min. Zeno, how you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm doing well. How about yourself, man? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. This episode's called First Time Watcher Ghostbusters 1 and 2. So, just to kind of set the stage for today's episode, we are talking about the original Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2. Zeno has just recently watched the two movies, and he'll get into the reasons on why he hadn't saw them beforehand. And he can talk a little bit about questions I'll have for him or his expectations going in, because I think I built it up quite a bit. But Zeno, yeah, tell the audience a little bit about you. And before we jump into Ghostbusters, just tell everybody a little bit about you. How old are you? How long have you been in the Indiana area? Let's start with that.
Gotcha. So I haven't seen a single Ghostbuster movie, right, until now. I'm 25 years old. It's crazy. I know, right? But it's not something I grew up on anyway. But Kyle had given me such high expectations for the both movies and everything, which I was actually pleasantly surprised. I like the second one a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, First one's great, but maybe I just have to rewatch the first one again, maybe in a high definition or something.
Yeah,
Um,
we'll get back to those in a second. So you're 25 years old now.
yeah.
You told me, through different conversations that you kind of grew up on Adam Sandler and a lot of stuff in the 90s and early 2000s were kind of the movies that you were into.
hmm
Um, about what age were you when you feel like you started to hear about Ghostbusters and like it just kind of came across your radar and you're like, what is that?
Um, Actually, I don't know. I can't remember what age I was, but I think I was watching like a Casper movie, right? Casper the Little Ghost, and there was this one scene like who you gonna call, and then I think there's I don't remember if it was a scene, but I remember some kind of like people in these like little flight suits and everything,
Yeah,
just trying to catch ghosts and everything. Um, but I think that was the first hint that I was getting into Ghostbusters and stuff, but I never really knew them.
yeah.
Um, Other than that, I think over the years of just watching movies, there's been little hints or little memes just coming from Ghostbusters itself, right? Like where a lot of these memes or a lot of these trends are coming from. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the scene in Casper he's referring to, if you guys haven't watched that movie in a while, the family has moved into this old home. It's clearly haunted by this Casper, the ghost. He's not very friendly at this point, and the family is doing everything they can to get rid of the ghost. And who are they going to call? They call
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Raymond Stantz, who goes into the house, and then he comes out in his flight suit with a proton pack and says, "Who are you going to call? Someone else," and he takes off. So yeah, that's the scene that he's talking about there. So yeah, so we started working together at the beginning of June, and I started to get to know him a little bit better, and we start talking about what movies we like, and naturally everything that I like is 80s and 90s because that's what I grew up on. So I'm telling him about Ghostbusters and Back to the Future, which will be a future episode for sure. E.T. I just recently found out he's never watched. So I mean, there's a lot of cool episodes that we can do with Zeno here. But the first one that caught my attention was Ghostbusters, and I was like, I can't have you living on this earth another day without watching this movie. So we set up a bonfire. I put it on the projector and we watched it in my backyard. I don't think it was the best atmosphere for a movie. One, because my 8-year-old wanted to tell him everything about the movie. And two, the screen kept falling down. So I don't think he got to really kind of be in the moment as he was watching the movie. And then we watched the second one a couple weeks later in the house. And Zeno, you had a completely different experience, and you seem to really connect with part two more than part one. So talk a little bit about that and what you just what you liked more about part two.
So I think the reason why I like part two more is because I got to know the characters more. Already knew like a basis of each character, right? And just be able to see um, this the movie and better resolution and stuff. So I was able to focus on what they're saying. and it makes it really funny. Like I really enjoyed a lot of the comedy that came in it, like a lot of the lines or punchlines they bring up that I didn't catch until a little bit later, like where my mind is like processing. It's so funny because then you hear me like giggling or laughing in the end, and you're like looking over. I'm like, hey, it was funny. I'm like, there's one scene that just still in my thought. It's just really funny.
Yeah. I want to get to some of your favorite moments from the movies, but before we do, I do want to kind of talk to you a little bit about just the characters. So we've got four main Ghostbuster characters. So there's Stance, there's Venkman, you've got Harold Ramis, the late Harold Ramis who plays Egon, and then you have Winston Zeddemore are our four main Ghostbusters. So for you as a young man watching this for the first time, like which character do you feel like you connect most with, and why?
Oh man, like my whenever you list out the names and everything, the first name that makes me smile is Egon's name, and I love Egon because of the character he is. Right, kind of makes me relatable because I like tinkering with things and I like technology in a sense. Right,
Mm-hmm.
so this guy Egon making equipment or just making scientific studies. Right, with his in part two of the movie, just doing research and something. It's so entertaining. It's so funny. Like he's so quirky, and that's kind of like me in a
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple great moments with Egon that I absolutely love. One is they have gone into Dana's apartment and they are doing a inspection on the baby, and they go into the baby room and they're like, "Oh, there's a bunch of toys in here," and Egon goes, "Oh, very cheerful. My parents didn't believe in toys," and they're like, "No toys?" He's like, "I had a Slinky once, but I straightened it." And he's so like straight laced with that delivery that it kills me. And then the second one is Venkman is asking him about the how the college girls must really like him. He's like, "Must like you for that big cranium that you had, that big brain." And he's like, "I think they're more interested in my epididymis." And then he goes, and he does like a little nod.
Oh man.
It just kills me. So you're an IT guy. Is that why you think you connect more with Egon? Because that's what you do for a living is technology and
In a way, yeah, but most likely it's his personality, his character. Right? He's very quirky. He's very I guess not awkward in a sense, but like still awkward, like in a good way. And
yeah,
that's how I am, right? So just having a super relatable character in the show makes me much more intrigued and more be in the moment kind of atmosphere, right? And
sure.
then as I'm watching the movie, not just him, but like I'm starting to love the other characters too because of him.
What were your expectations going into you watched the first movie, a couple weeks later we watched the second movie. You had a lot of questions in between. You had questions like, well, what's happened? How long has it been since the first one? Like it's been 5 years, and they filmed the first one in '84. The second one came out in '89, and the timeline in the movies is it says 5 years later in the opening credits. So it literally ages 5 years. And your questions were along the lines of like, where have they gone? What kind of character development? As I started to tell you what had happened, I could see how excited you were getting about like picking up where are these guys, like why are Stance and Zeddemore working birthday parties now. Bankman's obviously become a game show host, which they joke about in the first one. She's like, "You're more of a game show host, you know that?" And he's like, "Yeah."
Oh
He
my
he
god.
and he
Okay.
laughs and he's like, "Yeah, maybe, but I'm a total professional when it comes to my job." Um, so yeah, what were your expectations? Were you thinking that maybe the second one's not going to be as good as the first one?
I honestly, I personally love the second one more than the first one. I
Yeah,
think it's because a lot of expectations going through, coming into it from you, because you love the whole franchise, right? So you gave me such a good hype on it that I'm over expecting, like above and beyond. But and then like I think with the second movie is that I wasn't expecting what to expect because the first movie, like you said, um, your 8-year-old Kyler, like the kid, but he likes spoiling it for me, right? So
yeah.
for the first movie, he told me pretty much everything. So like, there's nothing really for me to surprise about, just me to like, expect it because like in my mind, like, oh, okay, I remember this when Kyler was talking about it.
Right.
But with the second one, we guys just got him to sit down or just watch with us as well, while he got his little Ghostbuster suit coming down and little
Mm-hmm.
proton pack and everything while we were watching it.
Okay.
Um, so my expectations were great for the first time watching it because, like I said, it's not something I grew up on. So the graphics for me were like, you know, ahead of its time at that time, but for me, it's kind of looks obsolete, especially since I'm in IT and a growing environment where technology is always constantly evolving.
Right.
So just watching it, it made me not in the word cringe, but more like, oh, with graphics like that in the beginning. But then like made me like appreciate. I'm like, wow, they actually put a lot of time into it, put a lot of graphics into it because I like Star Wars too because of that.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is the stuff that was practical effects with Ghostbusters, which there's a lot of stuff that's practical effects, like Stay Puffed, and like they use miniatures in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and that stuff all looks really great. But the stuff where they had to use special effects in like technology has not aged all that well.
Yeah.
So I can see where like you're watching this for the first time, you're like, ooh, like
Mm-hmm.
that's not great. So we watched both movies, and then you had already known at the time, like, okay, well, there's obviously a new movie coming out because I told you need to watch the first two
Yeah.
before we go see Ghostbusters Afterlife. Um, After watching the two movies, and then we watched the third and final trailer together in my office, what was your reaction? Because I remember exactly what you told me about halfway through.
I was actually having goosebumps. It was really great. I think as I appreciated the movie more and just like just watching little best moment scenes on YouTube and everything, just get a little refresher, right? Uh, and seeing these trailers because we saw these trailers watching a different movie in theater, and then I think that's the first trailer or the second trailer of
Second one.
Afterlife.
Yeah.
Then I probably haven't seen the first one, but I really liked it. And then the final trailer of that scene, I don't know, I don't want to spoil it for people if they haven't seen it yet, but that trailer was really good. Like the very last scene, I don't know how much I can spoil it because like I don't want to spoil it for our viewers and stuff like that. But
Right.
it's really good. I really recommend you guys watch the trailer. My I even showed Kyle like on my hand like little bumps on my hand. Like, hey bro, I'm getting really excited for this. Like, and I
Yeah.
can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything either. There are a lot of Ghostbuster fans that are either like 24 hours away or 48 hours away from watching the movie, and maybe they've avoided all spoilers up to this point. I'm not going to ruin that for them. I think they know who's going to be in this movie, though. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody, but we'll just leave it as it is. We'll let people leave that to imagination. But our plan, we're gonna go watch the movie on Friday. So if you're listening to this, it's probably either Wednesday or Thursday. The episode's gonna drop here early in the morning on Wednesday. So we're hours away from sitting down at the AMC theater to watch Ghostbusters Afterlife. What are your expectations going into Afterlife, Zeno? What are you expecting from the movie as far as like your excitement level, and what do you want to see as a fan?
I want to see, I guess, like more development of Gozer, right, from the first movie and everything. I felt it was very anticlimactic um,
Sure.
from the first movie, where Gozer comes into out of the gate and then he gets pushed back in, and that was it. Until they had a fight, like the marshmallow, not the marsh, was it the marshmallow? I can't
Stay
remember.
Puffed
Stay Puffs,
is
but
the
then they
first
had to
one.
close
Yeah.
the gate, that destroy the gate and everything.
Yep.
Um, I just hope that now they're opening the gate and probably answer some questions. Like I thought the only way Gozer was able to go through was through that gate and they destroyed it. So I just want to know, hopefully, if a connection of how was Gozer able to come through this time
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. Um, I want to see the car, the SUV. I don't know how you call that kind of car.
It's a
Um,
it's a Cadillac.
is it
It's
Cruiser?
actually an ambulance hearse.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, I learned something new.
1959 Cadillac to be
Wow. Okay,
exact.
I'm
Yeah.
really excited to see that again. And
Mm-hmm.
then like hopefully maybe a few more equipment. equipment, like adjustments, or even any like polished if they're gonna improve on it, or even new ones, um, just to bring in like new fans into the show or into the movie.
Yeah.
Um, what else I'm excited about? Possibly maybe new ghosts I haven't seen yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can pull this up on my screen. I think I can. There was a video circulating today from the director Jason Reitman from a screening last night in
Okay.
New York, and a lot of the fans of the show got to watch it. And I think that would be really cool to show you that, because I know you haven't seen it yet.
Oh, okay, okay.
So while I'm trying to pull that up, what is your excitement level? So pre us going to the theater Friday night to watch it, where are you at, like on a scale of 1 to 10, on how excited you are to actually see this movie?
I'll be honest with you. Um, like last weekend, I just went to Chicago, right? And every so often, I actually thought about, I can't wait to watch this. It's coming in because, like, you know, you don't think about it, and each day, I'm like, wow, it's coming closer. Like, the movie's coming closer. It's about to release soon.
Yeah.
So I'm getting excited. So the closer it gets, the more excited it becomes. Especially since I want to see. I think this is a continuation, right, or pretty much a connection to the first two movies. So
Yeah, it
that's what
is.
I'm really excited about because I think when they try to do a Ghostbuster movie with all the female cast, great female cast by the way, but um, when I watched that, I was really confused, to be honest. I didn't know what was going on, and that probably has to do with me not having any idea of what the first two Ghostbusters is.
Sure.
So I have to give it an actual 8.
Okay. That's exciting. And you know what gets me excited as a fan of the Ghostbuster franchise. So you've been a fan for basically, let's say, 2 months would be
45 days or
fair.
something? Yeah.
Yeah, about 2 months. I have been waiting for a sequel for 32 years. I was 4 years old when I started watching Ghostbusters Part 2 and the real Ghostbusters cartoon. I grew up on it. Somewhere in my blood is just a ton of Ecto Cooler High C, because that's all I drank as a kid, which was had Slimer on the logo. It was the logo for High C, and man, I literally like have been like pinching myself this week. Like I got up yesterday, which was Monday, and I was like, "Oh my god, it's Ghostbusters week. It's here."
Mm.
Like I couldn't be more of a 10 out of 10 on excitement level. So, with that being said, let's listen to I hope this is going to play the original Ghostbusters fan, which would have been Jason Reitman, addressing a room full of Ghostbuster guys, fans dressed up in proton packs and flight suits, about to watch the movie for the first time.
If you could actually put a pin on that real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
As a fan for only like 2 months, right? Like, I just can't imagine for you waiting so long for a third trilogy to the movie, to the series,
Yeah.
and how much exciting it is because, like, I am the type of person, or I guess I don't know if you are too, like, can get energized from people's atmosphere or people's energy. So when
Yeah.
you showing the excitement of this, I got really excited too with you, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I was like feeling this energy around you that made me even more excited, or what do you call that, adrenaline high or something like that,
Yeah.
right? Where I'm like, dang, I can't wait for this movie to come out, and I have really good expectations for it, especially since the director of the movie is the son, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of and I don't not really good with names of the actors and directors and such yet, but Kyle helps me out with filling them in and explaining who these are, and like I said, you must be really really excited. And I don't know, didn't you just buy like a proton pack not even long ago? Another one. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you're
Yeah,
really excited for this.
I
Yeah.
gotta keep it on the DL, but I did make sure my son's not awake still.
Oh,
I
oh my
I
god.
bought him the new Spirit Halloween Ghostbusters Proton Pack for his birthday, which I mean I think it was $80 or something like that. But yeah, I had bought one years ago when they first released them at Spirit Halloween, and mine's kind of worn down, and he's dropped it a bunch, and I was like, it's time for you to get your own pack, dude.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna spend the $400 on the
Oh,
Hasbro Pulse one. I would love to, but I just can't justify it financially to spend
yeah.
all my extra money on a proton pack for myself.
Yeah.
Um, would I like to? 1000%. Yes, I would like to. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It's interesting, right? Because yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fans that have been waiting a long time to see this
Yeah.
movie, and there's a whole new group of fans that are going to be watching because they know the kid from Stranger Things is in
Yes.
this,
Hmm.
or they know Paul Rudd from Ant-Man fame, and they're big fans of Marvel, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's a new Paul Rudd movie, so I got to go out and watch this new movie of Paul
Yep.
Rudd." So I think as far as that goes, I think there's enough interest from other new characters to really help this movie do really well
Okay.
at the box office. I think. I think. Um, I guess it'll be. We'll find out what happens
Yep.
when we actually look at it. Um, so I couldn't get the audio to play, but I have a copy of it on my phone, so I'm trying to convert it over. So if we can buy a little bit more time, I should be able to get this playing here pretty soon. Let's think of some other questions. Like what else? As far I mean, I know you haven't watched the real Ghostbusters cartoon before. Is that
It's
something
a
you're at?
cartoon.
Yeah, it's a cartoon. I'm
Okay.
wondering if that's something that you have any interest in ever watching, just to see like, okay, well, what did these? I don't know if you're a fan of cartoons, but I mean, it was
Um,
so cool growing up watching that show.
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind watching it. Give it a shot. Like I'm always up for new things, especially TV shows, movies. If you highly recommend it, we can sit down and watch it. I'm down for it. See how it goes, and you get my input from it. Um, I don't know if it's like more comical than the movies are.
Hmm.
Um, and if I don't know if each episode is like kind of like, oh, they're catching a new ghost each episode. So that'd be really interesting
Yeah.
to watch if they're trying to do some kind of tie into a storyline. But is that canon though? Would you say to the movies?
Yeah, there are going to be things I think in this new movie that tie into Real Ghostbusters the show. So I
Oh,
don't
okay,
want to get into too much because I don't know much
okay,
because I've
okay.
stayed away from spoilers myself. But I do think there's going to be some tie-ins that will be kind of cool from this movie coming up. Now I know we've talked a little bit about just different movies that I've been telling you about. What are you excited to see next? Like, because there's a lot of movies you haven't seen that I grew up on that I tell you about, and you're like, oh, that sounds cool.
um, let's see. I'm kind I'm kind of excited about Back to the Future, but I'm more leaning towards ET
Okay.
because you sent me a soundtrack
Yeah.
of ET during
And you
work.
listen to it.
Yeah, I listened to it. I put it on, like I usually put background music. As you see, I put like
Hmm.
AirPods in while I'm working. So I put the AirPods on and I'm listening to the music of your ET soundtrack, the very opening of it, or I don't know if it's the main outro, right, or intro.
Yeah.
But it was good and it was like all instrumental.
Yep.
And I'm because of that, and I love music in a sense like that. Uh, I'm more excited to watch ET, especially you keep talking about this iconic scene with these fingers, and I'm waiting to see it.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you'll love it, to be honest. But I don't know. I kind of lean toward showing you Back to the Future first because I just think you're going to be like, this is incredible, and there's
It's three
three
movies,
movies.
right? Yeah.
But I think ET maybe would be a good first one to watch, and then we'll get to all three Back
Okay.
to the Futures. But yeah, that score is incredible. Now I will tell you this: the Back to the Future score also equally amazing.
Yeah, you
So I
did
don't,
tell me. Oh,
yeah.
sorry. No, you did tell me that now that you found out that I haven't seen Back to the Future as well, you said I wish I could have shown you Back to the Future first before you watched Ghostbusters. So I just want to understand more. Like, is there something about Back to the Future that you like more, or?
I that's a darn good question
Yeah.
there. Um, it's not that I like it more. It's that I think you might connect with Back to the Future a little bit more being a younger guy because Marty's kind of a younger guy, and he meets this scientist named Doc Brown, and Doc Brown's like this wacky scientist that has this flying DeLorean, and I think you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I love this. I love the car. I love this character.
Okay.
And then there's like the bully of the movie, which is Biff Tannen, who just is like, he's the best bad guy for Marty McFly. He's always going up against Biff. I think you're going to love the movie. And the acting's amazing, and everything in Back to the Future, I feel like holds up amazing.
Okay.
There's not as much special effects in Back to the Future. I think it's a lot more relying on real, like what they did. Like mostly it was all real. Like there's not a whole lot of green screen in Back to the Future.
Awesome. Okay.
So, all right, I finally have the clip ready to go. We're going to be able to hear it. Okay, and then we'll end after this. But let's listen to Jason Reitman explain who he made this film for and kind of what it's about.
We're here.
We're here.
Finally.
Yeah. Amazing.
Hey, don't say that yet. 2 hours? Say it all you want. But for now, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being Ghostbusters. Not everyone knows what you guys do and what it means to wear this uniform the way that you guys do, and the charity work that you guys do, and the way that you guys try to make the world a better place. It means so much to me. It means so much to my family. It means so much to the creators of Ghostbusters. And I never thought I'd be capable of picking up this film. And I thought about all of you as I was making it. I wanted to make a movie that you would love. I wanted to give you one more ride in Ecto 1. I always talk about seeing Return of the Jedi as a kid. It's a Star Wars film. And coming out of the theater, all I wanted to do was know what it was like to get on a speeder bike and ride through the forest on Endor. This is a movie about the rest of us. The first two movies, they were about the guys. This one is about us. All of us who always wanted to be Ghostbusters, including me, by the way. We wanted to know what it was like to ride in Ecto 1, but I wanted to take it one step further. I want to know what it was like to hang out this side of Ecto 1, fly around the corner with a proton pack in my hand, and catch a ghost going 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Right? We all played with toys. This is literally just like a movie of like what we did with the toys. So, I am so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for everyone who made this film. This movie sit through the credits. I know you will. You know it's in at the end. There's 1,000 people who work on this film. They all love this movie. They all love Ghostbusters as much as you guys. We were all hiding the Easter eggs in there, right? And I hope you appreciate all the detailed work that went into it, whether it's this time or the next time you see it. And more than anything, I just hope you love this film, because you'd never expect a tentpole film to be the most personal journey I ever went through as a storyteller, but that's exactly what it was. So, from my family to your family, enjoy Ghostbusters Afterlife. Thank you.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Are you at a 10 yet?
Yeah.
I feel like I could like run through a brick wall after hearing that speech.
Oh my gosh, dude. It puts me like in a way speechless, because like you can tell from his tone and how heartfelt he is about this film, and how much he loves this film, and how much he loves the whole Ghostbuster franchise, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's sharing that with his audience and his fans that love it just as much. So it makes me really excited for it too.
Yeah, and what he's referring to, I don't know that everybody that knows about Ghostbusters understands that there are what is called ghost heads. And ghost heads are fans of the franchise. And what they do is they all have their own chapters. So there's like the New York City Ghostbusters. And then in Indiana, we have I think it's the Circle City Ghostbusters, which is from Indianapolis. And what they do is they all have their own flight suits. A lot of them have replica proton packs that they've spent a lot of money on. Some of them have replica Ecto 1 cars that they've built out. But a lot of them go to like hospitals, and they go visit sick kids, and they show up with proton packs that like lift up their spirits, and they go into parades. And like, that's what he's talking about when he was like, yeah, I don't think everybody knows like what you guys do. Which is why Sony invited all these Ghostbuster fans down to New York for the premiere. So a lot of them have already watched the movie. They watched it yesterday, all over AMC's in New York. So I'm really jealous that I didn't get to go, but I'm also not a part of a chapter. I don't have a flight suit, so I get it. I know why I didn't get my invite, but I'm just insanely jealous that I didn't get to experience that with everybody. But I'm gonna get to experience it on Friday. Zeno's gonna get to experience it on Friday. Man, thank you so much for coming on the show. We're gonna hang out for a while, watch some movies or watch some TV before we call it a night. But thanks for coming on the show, man, and I would definitely want to have you back again.
Hey, thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So that wraps up another episode of the Back in Time podcast. As always, you guys can subscribe right here on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell notification. Every time we go live, you'll get notified so you can join in on the fun. If you're listening on traditional podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, any place you listen to podcasts, you can find us. I want to send a special shout out. You guys helped us crack the top 100, number 40 on the Good Pods Top 100 Indie chart for film review podcast. So really humbling. You know, me and my co-host JD talked about that today, and we're just both like, wow, we're not worthy. We're not worthy. So thank you guys for checking that out. Follow us on social media at Back in Time Pod. But that wraps up another episode. We'll be back in a couple days. I don't know if Zeno will be on this episode or not, but I'm going to be back with a couple buddies of mine, Paranormal Pat and Brian from the Terrible Terror podcast. And we're going to be reviewing Ghostbusters Afterlife right here on YouTube and on the podcast platform. We'll talk to you guys then. See ya.